I'm coming in for a short video, and y'all, this is not even my full bag. However, I've been thinking about doing this little demonstration, especially because over the next few weeks, I'm sort of doing like a series of videos, and I think this will break it up. It breaks up the length, it breaks up the content, and I think it will be helpful. So if you are interested in why your girl's in ChatGPT and what this has to do with quilting, well then stick around. If not, I will see you in the next video, but don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe to my channel. If you are sticking around, then I will see you after the introduction. Let's go.
Yeah. I've been down so in love like 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 in love like in love like
What's the deal, pickles? Listen, my name is Dana, and welcome to the Freedom Please channel and essenceofme.com. Y'all, I was getting tongue-tied. It's Essence of Me. If you've been around a while, you remember from Freedom Please, and I still, like to up both of them. And so I'm here in ChatGPT. This is honestly a sort of piggyback on a video in a vlog that I did recently that I am working on. I did a sample block of a cathedral. And if I remember, I'll try to add an image here so you can see it. But I've done it. And I keep, as I'm doing this, telling you all that I keep notes, I keep videos. And I'm going to see if I can bring up my note. I'm going to bring up my note. Hold on. That one was one you just saw for my basting. I'm going to bring up my cathedral note. I'm trying to do it so you don't see all my business, but I have notes like this. Let me move myself over, and I will look at different videos. I'll put what I like about the videos, if there are certain measurements that the person uses in the video, etc. And while I'm doing it, I don't know why this has been happening here lately. Here we go. And if you go back and look, like I do it for a long time, like the border and different things, like here's one that someone did it as a pillow. Here's one when someone did it by hand. Here's one someone did it by machine. And I will just begin to gather until I'm ready. And I will also ultimately in my note, let me put myself here, make decisions for myself. And this is what happens when there's this sort of quasi break between me winging it and also doing something like a cathedral that has specific steps and it has a specific process, unless you do one of those ones that's like a template or something like that. I've seen, like, I don't want to call them shortcuts because all of them take time, but unless you're doing something like that. But with the cathedral, there's a certain way that it's pretty much done. People may have their little differences, but for the most part, it's a traditional block. So with that said, this is the note that I've had for a really long time. And as you can see, I've updated as early as or late as yesterday because I'm still doing it. And so in here, once I finished, so I had 9 blocks, these are my notes to myself, which were my 9, let's just call them pouches. And actually, I'm gonna just put that because I be trying to how would you describe it? So I had like 9 of those pouches, and that made my block. And then there were 12 colored squares inside of that. And I realized yesterday, after I finished it, I finished all of them. I folded in my ends because those would be sewed in eventually anyway. And I realized this makes a 12.5-inch unfinished block. Okay, bet. Now, technically for this, I guess in reality, it would be 12.5 in general because you seam it in, so you don't lose that 1/4 inch like normal. But that's just That's just a personal thing. The other thing that I do is once I make other design choices or material choices, I will update those. And I'm going to move myself so we can just see the whole note. So here I even put, like, I will cut the entire bolt of muslin and add a few pops of color, like the hexagon quilt as you go technique. And again, because I saw this somewhere else and I was like, oh, I love that. And so I'm sort of like salvaging different tutorials and different videos to see what I want. Then I determine the in size quilt, whether a throw, runner, and or pillows. And that's what we're going to talk about after I show you a few more things in this note. The other thing that I have here is my final measurements. And I'm putting my wording here. So for my pouches, those background squares were 9.5 inches and 2.5 inches for the colored squares. And at one point I did toy with doing 10-inch. But I decided against it because I think I tried one 10-inch and it didn't cover the 2.5-inch squares as much as I needed it to. So, and since let me back up. It didn't cover the 2.5-inch squares like I wanted was an issue. Another issue was that I really wanted to do my cutting in such a way that if I decided I didn't want to finish this quilt, like, I don't want the pressure of this big, huge quilt hanging over me. And if I wanted to change my mind, I wanted options without feeling like I wasted my time. And so that's why I wanted to do a 10, because if I had a bunch of 10-inch squares, I could turn them into something, because that would be a layer cake. That was my original thought, but they were too big. And so the thing that I sort of thought my way around was like, well, the great thing about that is I'm cutting them for muslin. So I'm not doing layer cakes. I'm not buying a layer cake and cutting off 1/2 inch and then wasting that to be able to satisfy this. I'm cutting from a bolt. So that was good on that point. And then with the 2.5-inch squares, I set it on that because I could use the 2.5-inch squares for this. I could use them for my mini hexagon or my English paper piecing, which I absolutely love. I can't believe I waited so long to do it, but I use 2.5-inch squares for that. And I can also just use 2.5-inch squares on their own. Another block that I love using for 2.5-inch squares are the ones for the 9 patches for the Irish chain. That's another one that I really like doing. So those 2.5-inch squares, whether I use them for the Cathedral or something else, would get used. And I hope this is making sense. I feel like for me, this is where I can just create things and I can hop around and nothing is like lost. Other than the fact that, you know, you have stints where things are unfinished, and I'm okay with that. And so with that said, once I went through and I did all the different tutorials and I found the ones that I liked, I sort of pinned down the ones that if I ever lose my way or I can't remember how to do it, are the ones that sort of, like this one, me saying this is the best, right? And I knew it would get me to the place. And so now it leaves me at this place where I know that I have those 9 pouches, those 12 colored squares, and my finished block is 12.5 inches. So now this is where ChatGPT can really help us. And I did this already, but I thought, you know what? This could be really, really cool. So now what I'm going to do is my design plan, and I'm going to and this is all in, I'm in notes on my computer because it goes into my phone and my iPad and all of that. So I can make adjustments and see it whenever I'm working. So now my design plan. This is where we now go into ChatGPT. I'm going to move this to the side and I'm going to say, hey, I use ChatGPT a lot and it knows me and it knows the different things that I do, but I'm going to do this as if you don't do it a lot or you are new to it. Now, because I'm using the app version, I am going to reference my note and so it can read my notes. So, hey, I'm working on this Cathedral quilt. And now I'm ready to make my final decisions about the size, the number of blocks I need, and a rough estimate of the amount of fabric I'll need. I'm referencing my notes and notes for your so you know what I have in mind. My test block is 9 pouches, and it was 9.5 inch muslin, along with 12 color squares, 2.5 inch blocks to make my block of 12.5. Now, because I have my note referenced, I really don't have to type this all out, but it also helps me to get clear, and it sets the foundation of where I want to go. Okay. To begin, what are some standard size quilt tops that I can consider for this quilt? I want it big enough to share with my hubby. He's around 6 feet tall. And I want it to be something we get to enjoy for movie nights or hanging out. I'm going to hit enter on that. Here we go. So that sounds like such a cozy and meaningful quilt project, especially with that cathedral window style, based on what you shared and your goal of making it large enough for both of you and your 6 foot tall husband to cuddle under for movie nights. Here are some standard quilt top sizes to consider. Good sharing quilt size: large throw / couch quilt, 60 by 72 inches, and that's 5 feet by 6 feet. Cozy for 1 or 2 people on the couch, easy to manage and fold, great for lap use and over legs, but may feel a bit short for full coverage for someone tall. Extra large throw, 72 by 84, 6 feet by 7 feet. Comfortable for sharing, covers from chin to toe for a 6 foot person. Generous drape on both sides. Sweet spot for big but not bed size quilts. Twin or full bed size, 72 by 90 or 78 by 88. Queen size. Okay, given your goal, shared cuddles plus functionality, 72 by 84 or 78 by 88 for the sweet stuff. Feels like the sweet spot. Okay, this is a good start. Can you give me these options? The larger size in the number of blocks. My blocks and the width by height block. Does that make sense? I'm trying to envision this. Y'all, I'm not good at talking and typing. Yes, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so my blocks, especially since each one finishes at 12.5 inches before joining. Your block size is 12.5 inches, unfinished, perfect. Okay, here are the calculations. Extra large throw would be 6 blocks by 7 blocks, which is 42 blocks. 6 by 7.5. Option round up because we wouldn't have any halves, which would be 48 blocks. And the full size. Okay. What if we made it square? Y'all, I think this is going to be massive, but at the same time, so cozy. Okay, this is giving me this. Okay, here we go. For a coat, and listen, you could go through and you can mark down all of this. And this could be not just for this quilt, but it could be for other quilts, right? For example, if you were doing like a scrappy quilt. Let me show myself because sometimes you would be just staring at the screen. If you were doing a scrappy quilt, or you wanted to do a crazy quilt, or you just wanted to do, I don't know, just do whatever floats your boat. You just want to do plain squares. I don't know. You have fat quarters. You can use these measurements and this information that you're gathering to build other quilt tops as well. Especially because I'm starting to notice that if I can get a finished block that's on the larger side where it doesn't feel like I need as many blocks, even though in reality for this one, it's a lot of blocks. But in theory, right, it feels like it works up faster if I don't need, in my mind, 1,000,000 blocks, but 48, right? And even though in this case, 48 is a lot, but you will see in just a second. So let's keep going. Okay. Okay, so I want to do it square, and I'm thinking because if it's 12 inches, even though it's a little bit bigger than that, if it's 12 inches, then I just want to go ahead and think about it as a square. And here, 84 by 84, which is huge. I think this 49 is going to be it. Yeah, that's the one it picked too. Recommendation based on your goals for cozy nights with your 6-foot hubby, 7 by 7, 84 by 84 inches, hits the sweet spot. Big enough to cuddle without being too heavy or oversized. Feels luxe but still manageable. You only need 48 blocks. Would you like fabric and cutting totals for the 7 by 7 layout? This is great, but I don't want the cutting. Oh, wait, maybe I do. Wait, what do you mean by the cutting totals? When in doubt, when working with any sort of AI, ask questions. Here we go. Okay, great question. By cutting totals, I mean the total number of background and color fabric pieces you'll need to cut to create your full quilt based on your chosen layout. In this case, the 7 by 7 square layout, 49 blocks total. Since your Cathedral quilt block is made up of 9 pouches, which are background squares, per block, you're using 9.5 muslin squares for this, 12 color blocks per color squares per block. You're using 2.5 inch squares for this. Here's what that adds up to be. Cutting totals, okay, background squares is 9 per block times 49 blocks means I need 441 muslin squares. It's insane. Just seeing this number makes me nervous. Okay, color squares, 12 per block is 49 times 49 blocks is 588 color squares. If you'd like, I can also estimate how many yards of muslin you would need for the 441 background squares and give you a rough idea of the color squares too, even if you're using scraps. And listen, it's saying even if you're using scraps because we've done this before and I told it I'm just using scraps, but I'm going to ask for both because this will also show you. I think I said that wrong, but it doesn't matter. It'll understand. While it's doing that, oh no, I can't. I'm going to copy this and add it to my notes. So roughly 30 yards. Oh my word. That's why that quilt is so heavy. But I love weighted blankets, and I think it'll feel like that. If you're cutting from a bolt, as you mentioned in your notes, you want to do the full quilt this way, then yes, you would need around 30 yards of muslin and around 3 yards for the colored squares. Oh, this is perfect. Okay, I'm going to copy. I'm going to, if you hover over and there's this double square, you click that, that's the copy. And I'm going to add this to my note. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. My design plan, 7x7, 49 blocks, background muslin. I feel like it feels so close. It's because of that, those images. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some of the other notes that we got from one of the later. Okay, let's go back in once again. And now here, the rough fabric estimates. I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna come back in here again. This will make it so that when I go to this note, I'll know exactly what I need to do. Okay, we got the number of squares. Estimate cuts. Each strip. And you can ask it to not do all of these emojis, but I hope you can see this okay too. I just don't want to blow it up too big. I guess I could. View, zoom in. Here we go. Sorry. I'll zoom in once more. I'm just gonna put you're making 9 background squares per block, but they're being folded and sewn in a dimensional way. The technique eats up fabric more than a standard piecing, and that's absolutely correct. If you're cutting from a bolt, you need around 30 yards of muslin. Perfect. Okay, and I'm gonna just mark this as a background. And then I'm gonna do this as a subheading. There we go. And then I'm gonna do this as color pieces. Oh, that'll be a better way to say it. Windows. Okay, I'm gonna turn this into subheading as well. And we need a we go. And I'm not gonna worry about all of this because again, I'm doing this from, I'm doing it from scratch. Okay. And this is the summary. And then I can always close that down. So that's my estimate cuts. This is my design plan 7x7. Yep. And then I'm gonna just break this up. And this is just because I'm in here. I can get this all sort of laid out. Okay, actually, I'm gonna do this a little bit bigger so it'll do it as a subset. There we go. There we go. Okay, and there you have it. I mean, you could do more if you wanted. To me, this is gonna do exactly what I need it to do. I can come back and what I'll do, just so that at a glance, I can see everything that I need to see. This also means that I can pick up and put down at any rate. And the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add total count of blocks. And this is where I will just start doing my tally of how many blocks I have. And right now, I have one. I have one block. I don't have, actually, I'm gonna just do this right here because I just have one block. There we go. And I'm gonna put here also, when did I start? I started a long time ago when I cut everything, but I'm just gonna give myself a general date. I'm gonna say I'm just gonna say May 1st. And that way I can keep that up to date. And I think there we go. And there you have it. This is how you can use something like ChatGPT when it comes to working with your quilt, your designs. It can do the math. In the end, you want to, check your math. But I know that from this is rough. I don't need all of it. And I'm sure I'm going to come back and look at some other things. But also keeping this chat, and I will save this chat, keeping this chat will also mean that if I needed to come back and make adjustments, or me doing, for example, 49 of these seem like way too much, which I don't think so. I think it's going to be perfect. If it seems like it's too much, I can come back here and adjust it and make adjustments. This is going to be a lot of blocks, and it's going to be over time. Now, with that said, the final thing I'll say before closing, I'm being very flexible with myself. I'm okay if this takes months or if it takes years. I'm not in a hurry. I already have a big enough container to sort of store things in, and if need be, I'll upgrade that as I slowly add to it. I'm using scraps for the colored squares, and for the muslin, I'm not being particular about it all being the exact same muslin. I'm just going to go for white. Some of it's white, some of it's off white. I'm okay. Again, it's going to be a quilt that we use around the house. One of the biggest things that I've seen so far with using muslin that I was pleasantly surprised by that you can use a lot of handling and all of that, and it looks the same. It feels the same. Like, so I'm really excited about that, without me having to go to the black for this particular one. And even with using the black, like, it actually holds up really well to hand manipulation. So I'm okay with that as well. I think that's it. If you think of any other questions, definitely let me know. If you made it this far, you know the drill. Go ahead, thumbs up this video. I will see you all in the comments. Let me know what you're working on. And are you a ChatGPT girly? Let me know if you use it for your crafting. This is something that I use quite a bit, both in business, but also while I'm crafting and while I'm brainstorming. I use it on my phone to talk through projects and talk through designs and things that I want to do and how to lay out the steps. And it makes it so that when I get in there and get to work, I can get to work. So with that said, your girl is out. I will see you all in the next video. Let me know if you like these types of videos, and I may find some other ones. I don't know. Y'all, I needed to do this anyway, so I needed to get it done, and I'll share them with you, but I will talk to you all hopefully sooner than later. Take care and goodbye.
I've been down so in love like I've been down so